Hello everyone, Hachadino over here, and as you always know, you can like and subscribe and check the other things. And also, as you may know, we have the sheet that we are going to be using on the new expansion, kind of ready. If it is still linking to the old one, remember to tell me. I have to fix some links and things, but it should be working. Of course, as you know, there's still the War Within one over here, and even if you want to check the Dragonflight one, you can do it. Now, what are we going to talk about? This time we're going to talk about talents. And I did think about gearing on the other video. I will do a more extensive gearing things when more sims are out and other things are more clear. But what you can get super fast, kind of to know things that are good, is this drink, good. This trinket from Dimensions, good. The ticking sack is also good. Prism and Forge are still kind of decent on bosses that are short or that have faces, like Dimensius or Nexus King Hadar. And you can change your helmet to the shoulders on the tier set. That's kind of the things that you want to do. Maybe recraft some rings and change the cape socket, but that's only for single target. For AoE, we still want to get mastery, so you don't need to change many things. Or you can also not care because the damage difference is not going to be super hard. Now, the thing that you may want to know about, what do we want to be doing in single target and AoE? The talent calculators are a little bit wonky because, as you know, on pre-patch we won't have the apex talents, so they kind of seem weird, but we also won't have some hero talents, so do remember those. And I think I have 1 or 2 points, maybe too much on this one. Now, do not worry, the points that we are kind of missing are not that important. Now, for single target, Death Stalker is a little bit ahead. Not super ahead, but just a little bit. But it's annoying to use the Death Stalker's mark. Do remember that when the prepatch drop, you need to change your times over here to these ones. Now, one thing that you may want to do is if you are doing the last bosses, change Unshakable Drive for Momentum of Despair. That's kind of the, let's say, the AoE one. If you're doing the AoE, that one is going to be very good because if you are using Black Powder, like in the platforms on Sahadar or in the platforms on Dimensius, or even when you are hitting the shades, because remember with Black Powder you can hit both shades, and if you position correctly, you can also hit Dimensius with your Black Powder. Before it was not needed because you were Trickster and you can kind of cleave. But now it's going to be like that. Now, as for builds, you might want to play kind of like let's say mini hybrid build with potent powder and some things like that in those last fights. But you can also go for a full single target. And then instead of Momentum of Despair, you will just go for Unshakable Drive. I would only use the full single target one in Fractilos, because as you know, that's kind of the only one where it matters. And you can even, if you want, you can take Mass Casualty off because there's not going to be any AoE, and you can put it in bait and switch. So your evasion also reduces a little bit of magical damage taken, and your Cloak of Shadows also reduces that. Ethereal Cloak is also not super bad on Fractilos because, as you know, you can immune the explosions and then a little bit of damage afterwards. For other things, I'm going to, of course, be posting kind of the codes for these different ones. And then let's talk super overall how we are going to be playing the class now. There are not many things that change. If you saw some of my beta coverage, there are a lot of things that have disappeared. We won't have rupture to worry about. We won't have flagellation to worry about. And for now, we don't have any apex things to worry about. One of the things that may be a little bit annoying is that remember Blades has changed, and now, in theory, it would be giving double the combo points. So if your Shadow Strike, that now it's only 2 combo points because the improved ambush has changed to damage on Shadow Strike. So that's why we are playing Tight Spender. There is not a huge difference on single target, but on AoE, because you are not Shadow Striking that much, it's going to be quite better. So if you want to have one build for everything, I recommend that you just put Tight Spender there and forget about the other things. Now, our general things that we will be doing, you can just put in your head. You want to use 2 dances with Shadow Blades. Shadow Blades without the new expansion tier set, it's only going to last 16 seconds. So we won't be having many problems if we have kind of around 20% haste, but you can also put 14 or 18 or something like that to have those shadow dances, and also to get 2 secret techniques on them if they are long enough. If you don't get 2 secret techniques, don't worry, because we are going to be using a third dance, and on that third dance we are going to be supercharging that secret technique, so it's going to be ending up kind of the same. Now, this optimization is not the one thing that it's like 100% true, but maybe you can delay a little bit the third dance and get secret technique there if you got the secret technique on the second dance. But it also depends, because remember, pots only last 30 seconds. So if you can get 3 of those dances in the pot, it's going to be better than if you delay it a little bit and get them outside. So 3 things that you want to have in mind. Of course, Symbols of Death doesn't change. You still want to use it, but the thing that changed is Supercharger now doesn't use on Symbols of Death, like right now, on War Within, but on the pre-patch it's going to be on Shadowlands. That's why you Symbols of Death, the only thing that we'll be doing kind of is activating Warning Signs. Warning Signs is going to be different. Let me show you now how different it is. Warning Signs is going to be 25% attack speed. This will of course stack with your normal attack speed from Slice and Dice, and also from Swift Slasher. Remember that we have kind of a haste thing going over there. So we have a lot of attack speed. What is the problem? Is that we don't have the apex, so we're not getting a lot of secret shadow techniques, sorry, extra. But still, with Shadowcraft, you are going to be using likely Shadow Strike, Eviscerate, Shadow Strike, Eviscerate. Sadly, we don't have 2 finishers in a row right now on pre-patch, because no Apex is there, and Shadowcraft has changed to just more generation. As you can see here, was Shadow is active, use Shadow Techniques to get 40% more frequently, and also store 1 extra. Also, if you see some people without improved Shadow Technique, that may also be a thing. It's actually quite close between Improved Shadow Technique and Tornado for AoE, but because this is a little bit more single target, we take this one for general things. And just remember, kind of, you change the Weapon Master Point to Potent Powder if you want a little bit more single target or more AoE damage. This also Potent Powder, of course, becomes stronger the more mastery you have. And same thing, Swift Slasher and Warning Signs, and also the new Deepening Shadows become stronger the more haste you have. One thing that you need to know, if you didn't know already, is that Bloodlust, PI, and other things that increase haste by a percentage are not going to work. What does work is item procs, like weapon enchants, or the Anubisat crystal, or whatever thing like that. If it procs haste, it's going to work, but they are not very good for us because they are not reliable. And if they proc and you use dance, it will last a little bit longer, but it's not as strong as you might expect. Other things that you want to know is damage trinkets are quite strong. That's why I said the ticking sack and also the Dimensious trinket are kind of good, because we will be using also more haste, so they will proc a little bit more. And because our level of gear is quite high, we are still gearing quite a bit of critical strike and mastery. The best thing that you can do is when sims are already kind of more developed, you can sim your character and use the items that it tells you. Of course, plans and things we may see, and then I will do some showcases on Wednesday when the patch drops in EU about how you want to do things. Now, as for things that you still need to care about, is remember about Darkest Night. If you can get a Darkest Night inside of Dance, if possible, of course. As you might know, we have the Dark Shadow again, and also that perception that increases everything that we do with our targets when they have all of these things. And one very good thing also is that remember Find Witness now is on you, so you don't really need to care now on AoE to get it on the target itself. That's one of the cool changes. And I think that's kind of everything that I need to cover overall for the talents and general gearing things. If you have any questions, you can ask. And if it drops on NA, do remember to check things around. There are also cool guides that have been updated, most likely. I already saw that who updated the Warhead one. So you can check those. And as always, have a nice day, and I'll see you on the next video.